In today's video, we are back for round 4 of the F1 Challenge Career Mode, taking the worst car possible with no upgrades during the season against the hardest AI on the game. Today is Spa, long straights, high-speed corners. Can we manage it to come back from the disappointment of Silverstone to reignite our championship charge? Let's get into the heart of the video and straight into the action. Round 4 Spa, and we're going to start this video off in our normal traditional fashion by showing the performance chart of the vehicles. Again, we have not moved anywhere on our performance. We are down in P7 in the Drivers' Championship, and today is pretty much a must-win race. At least we have to take points away from Verstappen and close in to leading the Drivers' Championship. Here we are within the car at the Spa garage, and this first lap of qualifying is going to be pivotal to ensure that we start on the right foot, building momentum to try and make a comeback in the championship. First lap coming up right now, setting up the final chicane to maximise the exit speed potential, opening up the hot lap DRS wide open, approaching the start-finish line, flying down into turn 1. Easy to lock the rears here. Can we keep it under control? We just about can. Probably running a little bit too much minimum speed into the corner, but still was fairly successful nevertheless. Running up to El Rouge and Lavion right now, just trying to minimize the distance, minimize the scrub of the tires. He rides up and over the crest, flying down to the end of the first sector now. 107, well, I got up to 109 miles per hour temporarily while we was in a higher ERS mode with the hot lap mode, and switching down to medium to harvest a little bit towards the end of the straight. Launch Stroll goes purple, but probably some more people are going to improve. Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc takes, I think that was 2 seconds out of Lance Stroll. What can we do against that? Can we be fighting up against the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc on this lap already, starting the weekend in a good way towards the chicane? Some people call it Piff Paff, some people call it the Fangio chicane. I prefer the Fangio chicane, just personally getting a good exit through there. The car is a bit understeery, to be honest, as we come towards the end of the second sector right now. Getting 2 wheels on that inside curve, just a little bit distracted on my behalf. But yeah, the car's a little bit understeery. Probably not much we can do about that to fix the car balance going forward, as it's not really pace limiting. I would prefer to have understeer from the rear of the car snapping away from me though. So to be honest, I don't really mind it in this situation. Through the final chicane, running up to the line. Where can we go? Where can we be? P2, come on! This is a good start to the weekend. This is what we need. There we go. We are dominating the first and final sectors of this racetrack. Clearly running lower downforce than the AI, which should bode well for the race as well. With that being said, though, we are going to take the off-throttle differential down to 15% to try and help rotate the car in those low-speed corners especially. The full setup will be shown just before we go into the race as well. Let's get into our second lap. Coming in to start our second flying lap. We got knocked down to P4, but that is already a good start to qualifying, if you ask me. Especially comparing to where we were in Silverstone, across the line to start our second lap here. What can we do in turn 1? Will the car rotate better than last time? It will. But we didn't actually gain that much in the middle of the corner, but we was able to gain that time back on the exit. I know there's a lot of lap time potential heading towards the start of Sector 2 right now. Half a tenth up, purple Sector 1, as to be expected with our straight line speed that we have in the car right now. You can see the lack of downforce pulling us wide off the racing line though, but still able to gain time on our delta, and that's what we need to do, is just survive in this middle sector. Know that the car isn't going to be optimal, isn't really going to be the quickest car in this segment of the track, but if we can just survive and then make the most of it right now, we can thrive in the final sector. We might even get a slipstream up ahead from Pierre Gasly. No, we're not. Gasly's going to leave not much room to the racing line, and was just able to slip through there. And that was very close to our lap being over, and possibly the session over as well if we had contact through the right-hander, completely flat out gaining time on the delta. And now we are running down into the final chicane of the lap. Over 2 attempts up, losing a bit of time right now So we had a different battery strategy. Definitely something we can learn for in the final time. Actually losing a whole 2 tenths on this straight. I don't know what all that's about. That's a bit surprising, to be honest. Gaining a bit of time back in the final, final turn. But how did we lose 2 tenths down the straight? I presume that we were in medium mode instead of hot lap, and that was just a mistake on my behalf. But still, P4 again, another improvement, easy 2 tenths in the final sector to have as well. This is very, very interesting. It says plus 5 minutes and plus 10 minutes. There's going to be rain, so we need to get out on track ASAP. Clouds seem to be descending down on the circuit as we're about to open up our final lap. Just under a minute left on the clock. 1 lap, 1 chance. Let's see what we can do. We need this to be sweet. We need this to be nailed. We need this to be quick. What can we do? Running down into turn 1. That was much better. Already felt at the apex we could carry a bit more speed, and we are marginally up on the delta. Running up to Eau Rouge and Radion, pulling it back into hot Lambo, up and over the hill, using overtake button on the exit, draining the battery a little bit. Going to try and be smarter with our deployment so we can make the most of that final sector game going into the second sector. Probably purple. It's not purple sector 1, but it is an improvement. That's a bit surprising, to be honest, given our straight line speed, what we showed in the earlier rounds. That was much better through the right-hander. Down into 4th gear, nice and tight, much tighter than last lap. Earlier back to the power in 5th. Use the curb and then rotate the car on the exit. That is so much better through there. 1.2 attempts up. Bit of a lift through the left-hander as now the car starts to grip it back up. This is the corner where Pierre Gasly didn't block us, but was in our way a little bit. Through the right-hander, we did miss our apex, but able to carry good speed, lift the throttle in the middle, and then back the power on the exit. We gained time through there, and now we're running a little bit wide, but able to just sort of manage the throttle on the exit to get that speed potential back. Now we should be able to gain straight line speed all the way down the straight comparing to last lap, and we are. This is exactly what we need. We are 2.5 tenths up, running into the final corner. On the brakes, need a good one here, and it's been good so far. Really nice on the power, running up to the line. Where can we go? And it's going to be P3 on the grid. That's what we need. That is what we need here today. It's not quite pole, but we can definitely fight from there. 4 tenths faster than P2. We missed out on beating Max Verstappen by just under a tenth as well, but that is very, very successful from us to be up there on the grid, ready to fight. Looks like all the AI are going to be starting on a soft compound tyre, but we're going to be choosing the medium, mainly because we use 3 sets of softs in the qualifying. So we're going to be restricted to using a medium and also a hard later in the race. Shouldn't affect us too much, but only time will tell. This is the setup that we're going to be using for today's race, so feel free to note it down and use it yourself if you would like to do so as well. Starting on the medium compound tyre, then lap 10 we're going to be boxing to the hard, and we're going to be taking a little bit of fuel out of the car. I think we can get away with 1.5 extra laps of fuel around this track, so we're going to go 53.0 kg as we're on the grid here. Our championship rival Max Verstappen is to the left of us, and we're going to be flying down into turn 1 as lights go out, and away we go. Pretty good start for being on the medium compound tyre. We're 3 wide into turn 1, big snap of oversteer on the entry, but able to fight it away as we're going to lose ground to Carlos Sainz on the exit. We're going to let him go right now so we can get the slipstream up and over the crest of the hill. AI side by side up ahead with Leclerc and Verstappen. We're going to turn on our overtake button because we smell the chance to take the race lead, and this will be pivotal for us in our race. We're basically reaching the top of the rev limiter, going around the outside of Charles, and we have gone from P3 into the race lead here in the first sector of Spa, and this is what we needed right now. Through the right hand are starting to build in. Of course, their soft tires are going to degrade as the stint goes on. Hopefully they'll go to hard compound tires later in the stint as well, or later in the race I should say, and then that means that we can level out our strategies as time goes on. Right now I'm just going to look to managing my pace, managing my battery, managing my tires, It's very unrealistic. I'm going to be faster than them while I have the mediums on and they have the softs on. But we know from qualifying our straight line speed is better, and we're going to look to utilise that to strategically put ourselves in a chance to win this race. So if Charles wants to go past here, feel free. We'll get the DRS on the big straight to take back the race lead, and that is a strategy if we're going to try and unfold today. Just smart driving. There we go. The AI seems to be fighting behind. That's Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen are going wheel to wheel as we set the fastest lap of the race on the first lap. And now through the right hander, fighting the rear, locking all the way into the corner, but that was a pretty successful apex. Little bit of overtake button. Let's see what the straight line speed is. We should be safe for Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen behind us now. So we're going to see what the DRS damage is for the straight line speed potential versus Charles Leclerc. He is DRS wide open. We're only in medium, and it's not that much difference, is it? He's going to draw side by side with us. We are going to hang it around the outside of him. But that is a good sign for us. He was not gaining that quickly, and that puts us in a chance, providing we don't make a mistake in the middle sector. We can very realistically hang on to this race lead, especially if we're the car behind. If we was able to have that much top speed potential without having the DRS, imagine what we can do while having the DRS and using more battery as well. Because we was only a medium on that situation there. Now look at this straight line speed we have versus Carlos Sainz. That is crazy. Actually, the Ferraris are going to go side by side in chicane. I actually got a bit distracted looking at them in the mirror and went wide myself. That's definitely something I need to improve on going forward, as fastest lap gets taken away from us by Carlos Sainz. Not by that much though, have to be said. Again, does lend us to being in a good position with our race pace. Charles Leclerc is much closer than he was last lap. He's actually going to go for the move side by side. Upper illusion Radion. We're going to leave him the space, but he's not going to be able to get around the outside of us there. Just in the hot lap mode right now, going into the middle sector. Again, he's not really able to close in on us that much, and we're in a position that we can hang it around the outside. Just make sure we keep it on the track, don't get a silly track limit warning, and we are able to retain the race lead for another lap of this race. Coming onto the back straight right now, that front left is starting to deg more than the other tyres, so we have to watch out for that so it doesn't cause us a massive understeer as the stint progresses. Charles Leclerc maybe made a mistake during Volchemon there, as he dropped back a little bit, but that's only to our advantage, so if you want to do that, be my guest, as now we've got half a second advantage to him coming on as we do a new PB of the race, purple final sector. So again, without slipstream, just shows the straight line speed potential we have in the car, and we're not particularly pushing right now, because I just know that there's not much point. I know that the tyres on the softs are better right now, and later in the stint, maybe we can break away, maybe we can do something, but now it'll be a bit pointless to destroy our tyre wear, destroy our battery in pursuit of trying to break DRS too early. But if the opportunity arises later in the stint, 100% will take it. Right, that's our first corner cut warning of the race. Just need to be keeping an eye on that. That was quite a simple mistake, to be honest. So I'm not too worried about it. We need a little bit more rotation on the front axle to ensure it doesn't get too high. So yeah, what we're going to do is up that to 5 on the front left, and hopefully that'll give us more grip, more bite, more just confidence to put the front left tyre in and not put it sliding over the surface of the road. Again, same situation with Charles. Not able to really close in us to pull down the straight. And one time these tyres are going to be better than their softs. And we're going to try and capitalise on that lap to break away and build a buffer window going forward. Right. Again, same game, same story. Charles is super close, but once we get too high on the top speed, it sort of evens out. Yeah, you can see once he pulls out the slipstream, he just doesn't have the pace advantage over us anymore. So it seems like we've nailed the balance on the wing. To quicken the straights and not too slow in the corners. If qualifying is anything to go by though, if Charles gets past us and breaks the DRS detection, he should disappear off into the distance, so we really need to fight that away from happening as we're having to fight the car in the first corner as well. Problem is, no matter what I do, they're going to be quicker in the middle sector. So even if I drain my battery, there's very little I can do about it. That's my second corner cut warning, actually. Okay, we need to be really careful now. That was a bit lazy, it was a bit cumbersome of us to take it again in a situation that we didn't really need to be pushing. So a bit of drama, a bit of tension, and we're one corner cut warning away from taking a 3-second time penalty in a race that looks like we could be winning it if we just don't make any silly mistakes from this point onwards. Again, we have to push the limits. We don't have a fast enough car to relax. We have phenomenal traction out the final chicane. We do purple final sector once again. So all we need is 4/10 extra, and we can break away from Charles's DRS in and out of the final chicane. And hopefully it will give us a chance to break the DRS on this straight. If we can do that, then we might be in a chance to sort of clear off into the distance. At least in a dream world, that is. In reality, it's going to be much harder than that. Now, we're not far enough ahead to burn overtake button and get away from Charles. That was almost the thought process about it then. If we could, but not quite. We need another attack. We need just Carlos to get a little bit impatient and descend up the inside of Charles Leclerc. If he can do that, then we'll be in a very good place. You can see the gap is now extended to 6 tenths down this straight. Charles is not able to do anything with his straight line speeds. The more we can eke out the gap during this section, the more confidence I'll get that we can actually fully break the DLS. Oh my word, that was a big snap of oversteer. I saw that I was going wide and was just desperate to try and avoid the track limit invalidation. So we are pushing, we are giving everything, we are giving our best. Well, we're giving our best, we wouldn't be making mistakes, but we're giving our best, pushing as hard as we can, and that's leading to some mistakes. In and out of turn 1, that was really nice. The gap should be about 7 tenths maybe at the end of the straight, depending how much battery Charles uses up and over the hill. You can see the gap is already 6 tenths, and of course, the further away he gets, the less slipstream he gets as well. If anything is to go by from qualifying, Charles is the fastest driver on this track as a complete package. But with our low wing setup, seems like we might be the most optimized package for the track. Charles is now looking around the outside of us, but to be honest, I'm not worried about it. What might help us though, Carlos might attack Charles, and that might allow us to break away. We are going to battle in chicane. We need a good chicane here. Maybe this can be a window of opportunity for us. Not quite. They back out of it. They don't fight enough. But this is our box lap anyway. Going into the hard compound tyres into the middle sector for the final time on these sets of tyres. Of course, we're going to go up 2 clicks on the downforce as well in the pit stop for the front wing, which should help with our chronicle understeer in the middle sector of this track. Give us a better opportunity to fight away the cars behind. At the moment, we're so grip limited that it's actually destroying the front left tyre deck versus the other tyres on the car as well. Of course, the more it degs, the more understeer you get, the more understeer you get, the more it degs as well. So it's a never-ending negative cycle. So hopefully we can get a grip on it with this pit stop, adding 2 clicks of front wing as we go to the hard compound tyres, using a bit of the overtake battery just to mean that we're not vulnerable to Charles going in to the chicane. We have the position held and locked down. Will he box? Will people box with us? Or will we be alone in our own race? I hope people do box, to be honest. It'd be much easier for us. And people don't. Charles boxes actually. Going into pit lane was pretty conservative there. Please, 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 please give me a good pit stop. Every race before, they've been diabolical on their pit stop, so please. Let's go. Come on. Right, they're all on the medium compound tyre though. We're on the hard, they're on the medium, so again we're going to be on a compounded tyre that has less grip, and we're going to be extremely vulnerable at the start of the stint. Up behind Daniel Ricciardo and Guan Yu Zhou. To be honest, Charles is really getting close to us now, but we shouldn't need to defend going into Q1, and we don't need to. Max Verstappen is getting really close to Charles as well. What I would like is a helping hand of DRS off these cars ahead though, showing just how little downforce we have on the car, little pace we have in these corners, that we only gain a tenth to these cars, despite them being on 11-lap-old stock compound tyres. Yes, our hard compound tyres are fresh out the box, but still, as now Charles is looking up inside of us. But again, same story, different lap, didn't really have to defend it. What would be really nice if these cars stayed out, to be honest, we could clear them on a straight, but I don't think that's going to happen. They're actually very slow into the corner. We had to back off the throttle quite a lot. Right, everyone now has been making their pit stop. It was Piastri who went a lap longer, my apologies. As we go into the first turn, but the car rotated. Again, we're able to retain the race lead. Carlos Sainz had a phenomenal lap actually. Probably us being held up by Ricciardo in the final chicane made his overcut look a little bit better. But still, he's P3 with a fresh set of tyres. Or fresh set of tyres. Hamilton as well as on the hard compound tyre. 10 laps to go in this race. Still, that front left tyre is equal dead compared to the rest of the tyres as well. So that's a very good sign as we can go later into the stint. What's allowing us to get away. We do the fastest lap of the race. Let's see if we can keep that. The extra point will be critical at some point. Oh, Fernando Alonso takes that away from us. So we are going to need to improve, as I do believe we have the chance to do the fastest lap. But we don't have the DLS right now. All we have is our raw pace. So we're going to have to be quite strategical of how we use our battery to try and increase the opportunity of doing the fastest lap. Much better exit than last time. You see Charles was just not as close to us as he has been on the previous lap. So, of course, as the stint goes on, our hard tyres will get better and their medium tyres will sort of fade away from them. Or at least what I'm hoping anyway. If it doesn't, it's going to be very, very stressful on the final lap. So I don't think we're really in a position to break away. Almost had a big kick of oversteer on that curb. Charles again, probably going to do the same situation, getting stuck behind us on the straight. Carlos Sainz is very close though. Maybe they get racy into the final chicane. That would be a dream for us to try and break away. We should be at least temporarily fastest lap of the race before it gets taken away by Max Verstappen of all people. And Sergio Perez of all people takes the fastest lap away from Verstappen. I think what we need to do, build a bit of battery in the middle sector, and then use more battery on the following lap to try and secure that fastest lap of the race. Turned off our battery a little bit too early on the straight there. Gave the opportunity to Charles. He's still going to be there. Are we going to lose position to Charles? Yes, we are. That is not good. Okay, that caught me napping now. I turned off the battery. Just trying to conserve a little bit of energy. We need to push. This is the first time we're going to see Charles' middle sector untamed, unrestricted, full attack. And the gap is already up to 6 tenths as Yuki Tsunoda is out of the race. Would that bring a safety car? Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't matter though for our race right now. Or matters minimally. The gap is over 1 second. We need the DRS. We should have the straight line speed advantage. We don't have much battery though. Come on, please. We need that. We are going to be just in the DRS detection zone. Successful final chicane. That's not a good time to see Charles doing the fastest lap of the race. Oh, the gap is going to be over 1 second though. That is a disaster for us. One small mistake on the battery usage, and that maybe has cost us the race victory here today. as now Carlos Sainz is behind us. Right, we're going to do something smart here. We'll try to do something smart. We're going to let Carlos Sainz go in the hope that he can keep up with Charles, and hopefully we can keep up with Sainz, and that should allow us to stay in the DRS for the race lead. If it doesn't, it's only going to cost us like 3 points anyway, from P2 to P3. I think it's a gamble worth taking. It's a risk worth having, as Max is all over the back of us now. Bit of grass on the inside. That is not helpful. We're going to be in the same situation. The two Ferraris might actually run away. Pushing too hard on the right hand, and we just don't have the grip anymore. Of course, we spent 2 stints on worse compounded tyres. Right, we're going to have to let Verstappen go, if he will. We need the DRS for the big straight. Come on, Verstappen, go, 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 go. We need the DRS for the big straight. It's our only chance. Our focus now, I think, is locked on Verstappen. Half a second behind going onto the straight. We need to get ahead of Verstappen. This might be what we need to do to get our first podium of the season. We just need to play it smart here. Verstappen is who we need to beat in this race. Of course, a bit upsetting that we're not going to be able to fight the Ferraris for the race win, but their pace is just a bit too much in that middle sector for us today. But we still have a good opportunity to stay ahead of Max Verstappen. Just a simple misjudgment on my side, to be honest, turning up the battery too early. And as you saw, the pace that Ferrari has in the middle sector was just too overwhelming to be able to keep up with him. Once the DRS was broken in corner 1, nothing that we could do. Goodness though, apart from that one mistake with Charles, I'm very happy with how I've driven this race. I really feel like I've been maximising the car. Of course, as I alluded to earlier, our hard compound tyres should, in theory, be better at the end of the race, but of course the AI have so much more downforce for the middle sector, it'll be hard even to see that tyre effect come properly into fruition. Verstappen draws alongside us. Same situation as Charles always had though, just not enough speed in the straight line. As we're closing in to the end of this race, 2 Ferraris fighting up ahead. Verstappen shouldn't be able to challenge us on this straight, on this lap. Yeah, he's 5.5 tenths away. Let's see if the Ferraris fight again. Seems like they will. Seems like Sainz went for the dummy there. And they are swapping positions. I need to be a bit more focused on my apexes here. Otherwise they will get that third and final corner cut warning, pushing us towards the 3-second time penalty. There's a car out. Oh my god, it's Charles and Carlos are both out of the race.
The safety car is out.
What?
Safety car is out.
The safety car...
I don't want to see the tutorial game. I want to see the replay. What happened there? Carlos spun it. That is so good for us, first of all. That is crazy good for us. Verstappen got wing damage. Oh my wordy word. I thought it was Charles leading at first, but it's Carlos. Carlos must have just taken the race lead away from Charles Leclerc and then spun it immediately. What is that? What is this? Tut 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 tut. And we just about avoid getting collected in that. Let's check the front wing and then we'll get back into the race. So, Max Verstappen, I think, did collect front wing damage. You can see it there briefly. I think Oscar has got away with front wing damage. George Russell definitely has front wing damage. Lando Norris, I think, I can't tell. And Lewis Hamilton has no front wing at all. And a 10-second penalty for Piastri and someone else in that melee as well. I think we've got to stay out. We've got to stay out and hang on to it, I reckon. We've got to play it safe. AI with damaged front wings is still staying out, actually. Okay, that's good for us. Only the people with major damage boxed. Okay, that is a very good decision to stay out. Will there be another
Safety
twist?
car is in this lap. Safety car in this lap. You'll be controlling the pace on the restart. Keep it steady until the safety cars reach the pit lane.
We'll have 2 racing laps to go in this GP to possibly take our first race win of the season, and it will come at the most critical time after Silverstone. This is going to be intense. The AI on their medium compound tyres, us on our hard compound tyres that are barely up to temperature right now. And we've got 2 laps to hang on to give ourselves a chance of clawing ourselves back into the Drivers' Championship. We're going to wait until the very last moment and try to catch the AI napping. And we have done. That's been a good restart from us. Minimise the time that AI can have a slipstream off us into turn 1 with no front tyre temperature down to 71 degrees. Wheel spin galore on the exit. DRS will not be enabled, or means we should be safe to Charles Leclerc. I don't want to make the same mistake as I did before though, so we are not going to turn off our battery too early this time, or at least we're going to try to avoid that mistake anyway, as Charles is putting pressure on us, but we're able to stay ahead. We are not going to none too early. There we go, we're safe now. Don't repeat the same mistake twice. Cold tyres. 1 warning will lead to a 3-second time penalty. What might be enough to still beat Max Verstappen because of his front wing damage, but that's yet to be seen. But it will not be enough to win the race. So we have to push on. We have to try and make a difference right now. We have to try and make a gap. And now Charles is putting a bit of pressure to us as we go into P1 for the second to last time. 1.4 seconds to Max Verstappen. His front wing damage is hindering him. Into the right, open up the left. Pretty decent on the racing line there, considering the grip that we have. Piastri is all over the back of Charles Leclerc, but of course his 10-second time penalty is going to mean that he's basically invisible for the fight for the win. He could wreak some chaos though, and either help us or hinder us with the battle versus Charles Leclerc. At the moment, he's going to help us as they're going side by side into chicane. Oh, we have a bit of wheel spin in the middle. Still searching for grip. But we've got a big gap. Look at that gap. It's going to be up to 6 temps as DRS is enabled on the final lap of this race. This is our best opportunity to win a race this season at the most critical time. Overtake button has been enabled. Coming on to the straight. We've got half a second. Lewis Hamilton does fastest lap of the race. We've still got half a second right now. Right, we're going to put our battery down to medium so we can try and save a little bit of that battery potential for the final sector of the race. And into the final corner of the race, I reckon this will go down to, because Charles is going to be all over the back of us in this middle sector. He's still closing into us. Max Verstappen has somehow retained P4 in this race so far. Let's see what happens. What will turn into P3, of course, when the penalty of Oscar Piastri is applied. We've got a big gap to Max though, so he shouldn't be in the contention to battle us for the remainder of this race. Charles Leclerc is more than definitely in contender to battle us into the Fangio chicane, down to 4th gear, and it's all going to be about that run down to the final chicane on this final lap. Can we win the race? Can we have the straight line speed? We should have the straight line speed. We should have the battery. We should have the run. Overtake button has been enabled. We have enough deployment as well. Charles Leclerc is still putting pressure to us, but we're ramping up the speed. Look at that top speed go. We are building the gap to him, and this is into the final chicane for the final time. One more braking. Take it safe. Keep it conservative. Into the left-hander. It stays status quo behind us, but we are here to take our first win, and that is what we needed.
Yes, guys, yes! Come on, boys!
To overcome the difficult circumstances they face throughout this race today, Crofty, it's not easy, and it really shows a lot of maturity, and you can use this, you can draw on this as a driver moving forward. and boost your confidence through the rest of the championship.
So there we have it, the official results, taking our first win of the season ahead of Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso and Oscar Piastri, dropping down to P14 with his penalty. Utter disaster for him. Lewis Hamilton down at P19 as well. And Brendon Leigh wasn't last. He beat Carlos Sainz because of his spin. And of course, Yuki Tsunoda was also a DNF earlier in the race. So what a day for the two Brendons. One at the top and one not at the bottom. We have jumped all the way to P4 in the championship, closing the gap to Max Verstappen, 1 point behind Charles Leclerc, and jumping as well to P4 equally in the Constructors' Championship, 1 point ahead of Mercedes as we draw into the halfway point of the season. Zandvoort, of course, is coming up next, and that should be a cracker with the high downforce, and see, maybe, if it rains. There we go, our first win of the season at such a critical moment in the championship, putting ourselves back in contention ahead of Zandvoort. Can we carry this momentum forward? I think we can. More on that next episode though. For now, thank you so much for watching. I've been Brendon Leigh, and I will catch you in the next video. Grazie Vazazzi, ciao ciao, bye bye.